god, did you see his numbers again? Yeah, he's been at the bottom for like a month.
Come on, you scrubs! To arms!
Lex might be a little too far from the mic, maybe get a little closer.
It's touching my face.
Not another spider!
I was not protected. Oh yeah, that's one with fall damage.
I was standing in the pool because I thought we had the soak in.
Ooh, fell asleep at my desk, and I drowned in the stormwind canal.
No, Jim, I don't want to hear about your chaos bolt.
Well, you want me to dispel? I don't even have that on my action bars.
Stop standing in the fire.
What fire?
Alright, pre-pot, and tricks to the trade. Oh, that was the healer.
What just killed me there? Yep, physical damage. So bad at playing a demon hunter.
Oh my god, we did it.
You're listening to Scrubs vs. the World with your hosts, Cy and Projali.
And welcome into the show, everyone. Tonight we're going to talk about some of the hot topics that are going on in our Warcraft community. But joining me this evening is Mr. Projali. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing just fine. How you doing, Cy?
Doing good. Doing good. Had a slightly productive day today at the old job stead.
That's good.
Yeah. I solved a problem, so I was pretty excited. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store now because I solved that problem.
I celebrate with groceries. Food is good.
Food is good. Hell yeah, it is. And also joining us from the For Azeroth Podcast is Manny. How you doing, bud?
Oh man, loaded question. I have been going through so much stuff, but like you can take the good and the bad. So I try to look on the brighter side of things, and there's like a lot of good going on as well. Just like it's getting spiced in there, and I don't kind of like the spice.
Oh no.
Yeah, the spice is a little hot right now.
Yeah.
But I wanted to. Sorry, I rushed through the intro piece there because I wanted to get to some positive stuff. Projali and also Projali. I apologize, man. I am all over the place today.
That is okay.
I'm a little not fired up, but I don't know. Discombobulated, I think is a good word.
There you go.
But how are you doing, sir? I don't want to skip that part because you asked me how I was doing. I asked Manny how he was doing. How are you doing?
You know, I'm a little tired.
Yeah.
Didn't sleep well. And then somebody was rummaging through my recycle bin this morning. And they woke me up. And then I went back to sleep. And then the garbage trucks came early. So I woke up from that. So all in all, you know, a little groggy. Little Tuesday sleepy.
That'll happen. Now, did you have the cans prepared on the curb? Or did you have to do the... Holy crap, I forgot to roll them down. Now I'm running out there in my underwear.
No, I took them out last night. It was fine. It's just...
Okay, good.
Yeah. No, I have done that before.
Yeah. I think we all have.
Yeah. Just the awkward shuffle out. You've got your house shoes, but you don't care.
Yeah. You got like a coat on, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank goodness it's dark.
Yeah.
Although summertime, it's getting lighter earlier, so... Mm-hmm. You got to be quicker with the dressing.
Quicker with the dressing.
Quicker with the dressing.
Just running out there in your robe.
In your robe. That's right. But before we get into this topic here of the negative funness, you know, let's talk about some achievements we've had. So, Manny, what's been the latest and greatest achievement in game that you have accomplished all these last few weeks?
Oh man, been on sort of a tear. So like, my raid team, get your crit together. We got through Castle Nathria a little while ago, and we've been doing farming. And then we decided, hey, we're gonna go do all the achievements. So we got our Glory of the Nathria Raider. Got our nice bat that can't fly into Shadowlands yet, but it's there for when it can.
Its wings are strengthening right now.
Yeah, you know.
Glide around.
What I do is I take it back to Orgrimmar, it gets a little taste for it, and then it's hobbled on the ground until 9.1.
I think it's the air or humidity. You know, the humidity is a little lower in the Shadowlands. Or higher. So it's heavier? I don't know.
I mean, yeah, considering how heavy things are going to get, it's probably the atmosphere is a little thick. It's a little intense.
Little intense, just like camping.
Right.
That was it. Sorry.
There's still weather out there, though.
It's a stupid dad joke there.
And then the other part of it was that with my my Mythic Plus team, Grumpy Old Farts, we finally got our Mythic 15s all done. And that means that, we got that mount as well. I got the Death Elemental. I don't even remember the proper name of it, but whatever.
It looks awesome.
Yes.
I think you can call it whatever you want.
Huge. Like,
It is
you're
a
like,
big boy mount, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, congrats on that. That's good stuff. Yeah, we finished Nathra as well. We're halfway through the achievements. So I think tomorrow night, which will be when the show launches Sunday, this last Wednesday, we're going to go finish that baby up.
Nice.
And I might as well go next. But because I'm so excited. I'm sorry, Projali, I cut you off.
No, let it out. Sing it to the world.
I leveled a Horde side shaman, right? So I'm mainly Alliance side, but I'm leveling a Horde because Projali and I are going to go do some fun things together.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Frolic in the fields and whatnot. But
have a picnic in Bastion.
Yep, it's going to be great. But I decided, looking through my transmog sets, thinking, oh, I'm missing one piece out of 25 heroic ICC. And I like that set, and it looks super cool on a Tauren, right? Mm-hmm. So I go cruise out there, get my piece. I got the piece I needed, so I finished the set. Then I had to leave and go do something. I can't remember what I even had to do, but I came back, finished the run, and Invisible dropped. Also known as Invincible, for those who like to say the name correctly.
Right. Well, I'm surprised you were able to see the mount.
I know. I was shocked. And my child enjoys rubbing the fact that he got the Astral Cloud Serpent on his first attempt. Oof. I just yelled out. I was like, get in here! And I was like, look at this! And he's like, oh my goodness, because he was farming it too. So
nice.
Super excited.
It's perfect timing too, because if we come across Arthas in the Shadowlands, now you get to come up to him riding Invincible and be like, oh, look what I've got.
Look what I got, pal.
Oh my god, I hope there's an interaction there. That would be so awesome.
Oh, I have so many wishing for interactions. We know we're going up against Sylvanas in Sanctum of Domination. Uh-huh. I just want her music box to have an interaction. That'd be cool. I have this idea in my head that you put down the music box, the 3 Banshees form, and then they become active ads, and that's part of the achievement. Is because they've had those where it's use a toy and a boss, and it triggers the achievement.
Mm-hmm. The Son of Animus for Lady Enerva.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that would be amazing. That's a great idea. I would like that too. And Projali, how about you, bud? Saving the best for last.
I don't know about that. So, I wouldn't say any accomplishments as of late. We're just farming Mythic again. Started back up heroic sales, so making some gold back from the deficit of rating, and didn't get anything from the vault this week. I guess I got some verse gear for PvP from the vault this week, so I guess that's
very nice. Yeah. That's exciting.
I got to trade a 233 weapon token to a guildie last night on our sire kill, and I was just super happy. I was like, "Here you go, friend. Enjoy. We shall prosper."
That's fantastic.
Oh, I got into Burning Crusade beta. That's
nice.
Okay.
Congratulations.
3 weeks before it releases. So
yeah, it's great. We're giving out beta keys on the show, and then they're like, everybody, big invite. And it's just hey, if you didn't get in, we're still giving away keys.
Yeah.
Well, you should give out the key and tell them to save it, so then the next time we go through the cycle of the Burning Crusade Classic,
maybe it still
then
works.
they'll be ready to go. It'll be like the mount cards.
They can't call it classic. They gotta call it ancient or retro. We're gonna get World of Warcraft or retro when we're back we're going through.
Redo.
Oh, jeez. It's like Spaceballs. The movie.
They've gone plaid.
They've gone plaid, yeah. Spaceballs the flamethrower. So we're going to have TBC, the flamethrower, at some point. It's going to be great.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was a total jab at the folks who are screaming mad about the microtransactions, or I call them macrotransactions because they're huge, but
it's a big mouth.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Let's not start this yet.
No, I think just they should double down into the Spaceball stuff, and they just call it like, TBC2, the search for more money. Just
hell yeah.
Dang it, somebody's going to clip that now. They're going to use that. Yeah, I mean, the WoW Reddit's on fire. Twitter's
Insider
on fire.
knowledge.
Yeah, everyone's on fire. So, but that kind of... So, I mean, overall, like, we're still having fun in the game, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Manny, you guys got AOTC, got your M+ done. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I went and, got my other shaman up. I got Invincible. Like, life is good right now. Now, of course, I'm sure we have some complaints, but, basically, kind of what we want to do here on this program, specifically tonight, is kind of talk about the community's response to some things that have gone down recently. And I know the joke with the Burning Crusade Classic, the Search for More Money, that's been a big, huge topic. The Classic crowd is upset, and then there was that interview with Ian and Preach where people had responses to this interview. I watched it and I was like, oh, thanks, Ian, that was great. And then everyone else was like, somebody just like kidnapped their girlfriend and put her up for ransom or whatever. And it's like, whoa, I didn't get that from this, but maybe it's because I'm too much of a shill. I don't know. Maybe that's my problem.
Well, it's because they can do no wrong in your eyes, Cy.
That's true.
Well, the easiest way to do that is to invite a bigger shill onto the show, and thank you for inviting me on. So I'll put you into your place.
With our shill powers combined,
I am BFA Classic.
That's right. Oh, more corruption for all.
Oh boy.
It's beautiful. But yeah, ultimately, I just kind of want to go over, like, now we're content creators technically, right? We make podcasts. People listen to our programs, our shows. Sorry, I'll stop using the boomer language, as the kids call it.
Our programs.
Our programs. But,
Wait
what we
people
say...
listen to my show? Oh, God. You poor fools.
Oh, expectations.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, people listen to us and take what we say seriously, or they, whether that's because of a confirmation bias, or they think we're super cool people and they want to hang out with us, or whatever the reason is.
That, yeah.
Yeah, our opinions hold some weight, right? So, as a content creator, I personally feel like I have a responsibility to the community to try and voice my opinions in ways that aren't purposely inflammatory and misguiding, I think is a good way to put it. To the point where it leads people down a path that they probably shouldn't be going down. Right now, World of Warcraft in Shadowlands is probably, we're going through a content drought. We have a global pandemic that's going on, and we have all kinds of just craziness in the world right now. And the content lull is because it's crazy. Like, I don't know how else to put it. And we have a section of the community who wants to burn it all to the ground because they think that the game sucks. So, I don't know. Manny, let's start with you. How do you feel about the game right now? And please, don't hold back.
Okay. So there's a couple things that you put in there, and I'm going to address it. So first, the question you actually asked me, which is how do I feel about the game right now? Mm-hmm. I'm enjoying the game right now. I'm not enjoying all parts. I think that the rating is fantastic. I think that these sets of dungeons that we've done in Mythic Plus have been amazing. But you know what? We've been doing them for a while, and so I am not looking forward to raiding Castle Nathria for the umpteenth time. I've gotten the Death Elemental, I've gotten my Keystone Master, and I'm pretty much going to do 4 dungeons in the week to like get some stuff in my vault, and then I'm sort of done with that. So I'm not as engaged in the game as I was when Shadowlands launched. But I don't think that means that like it's all doom and gloom, because I would say it's a matter of perspective, and that's a big thing that we need to keep in our minds when we are talking about this game, not only as content creators with like voices that hold weight. My God, why are people listening to me? But but just as people, right? You said it yourself. Like, we're in the middle, hopefully past the middle of a global pandemic. Right. We have been holed up in our homes for various lockdowns and shutdowns, and like, oh my goodness, Ontario. That's my neck of the woods. Where we have been literally in some form of lockdown for 13 months now, like over a year, where it's been like, yeah, don't get to see your friends or stuff like that. So I get why people sort of double down on like World of Warcraft and these video games. And when things aren't going exactly right in World of Warcraft, like it's not like you can like get up and like, oh, I'm gonna just go hang out with my friends for the night. I'm gonna like, you know what? That was a very frustrating beat I got. Right? We should have gotten Sylvanas, or like we should have gotten like whatever boss. Right? I'm gonna just have a couple of drinks with my friends and blow off steam, and I'll come back to the game in a little bit. We can't do that. So it's harder to walk away from that. But the biggest part of it is that we have to realize that everybody's going through this. And that includes the developers who are working from home to develop the game for us, and have clearly dealt with the setbacks of like transitioning to working from home, and the drawbacks of not being able to work in an office like they have. So they're suffering from that. But before I rag on all the people ragging on the developers, I'm going to also lead to their defense, because they are also going through this, and their perspective is a bit skewed. And so it becomes this almost, I don't want to call it an echo chamber. I want to call it this like reverberation of bad. People have less patience, and we can't deliver as much as we would normally be able to do. And nobody is quite understanding that other people are in that same situation.
Right. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, I get it too. You know, a lot of the folks that we've seen, I'm going to try not to name names, because I don't want to do that, because I don't want to sway people away from content creators. If they enjoy their content, please enjoy the content. I think for like along those lines, like you're saying, like having some empathy for everybody involved is pretty key, just especially in this time. I mean, I feel like, you know, I live in Oregon, and Oregon's a very kind of liberal-minded place, but we have pockets where it's not. And so, you know, there's a clashing of ideas constantly. And the one thing that I can get like on the same page with, especially like with coworkers and stuff that don't believe the same things I do, is that we all agree that, you know, we got to kind of come together for this thing and just kind of ride it out, right? There's no right or wrong answer on how to get through it. I think the hardest part is I don't know where I'm going with this idea. I have to edit this out.
No. I would say that easily from what you're saying, right? If you talk to individuals, they have valid criticisms, right? They have valid views. If I were to sit down and talk with some of the creators or like actually read through their words, I can't say that any of the people that have been like named in these sort of like, oh, they're being negative, that they don't have valid points.
Sure.
And that I would stop listening to them altogether. But there is this tone that becomes, when you go past a certain point, becomes unhelpful. Where it's literally a point where for anybody, and I mean anybody listening to my voice, anybody who will never hear me again, right? Understand that if you complain, if you are negative, it means you're more likely to be negative in the future. It is literally a spiral effect. You complain, you see the bad, it makes you more likely to see and voice the bad. And if you keep on that cycle, all that you will ever see and all that anybody will ever hear out of you is the bad. Right? I will name a name.
Uh-oh.
I read through the post from Asmongold.
Ooh.
Right?
I did too.
Yep.
And everybody has been talking about that and all of that. And if you read through that post, right? Yes, he is talking about some points in the game that he doesn't like, right? And I can agree on many of those points. I don't like store mounts, right? I think that some of these promotions, especially around the Burning Crusade launch, are expensive, right?
Yeah.
But I'm able to look at it and be like, okay, it's not for me. Then there's the next part of it where it's like, well, the people who would normally defend Blizzard are saying that, oh, well, it's not for me and you can walk away, as if dismissing that point. And I think that's more dangerous than anything else.
Right.
If I were to be part of the quote-unquote Blizzard marketing team as, like, the resident shill, right? I would simply go and be like, okay, let's not put this in. Right? Let's not put this in. You don't have to pay $35 to clone your character, right?
Right.
And instead, you have to pick, do you want to be on the classic server or do you want to move on to Burning Crusade? You can't be on both. And people would not have blinked. There would have been no outrage. They would not have blinked. So then what did they do? They add a $35 option. I believe it's $35 US. To clone your character over. And the response from Beliar is they're giving an answer for a problem they created.
Yeah.
Yeah. The problem isn't actually what they created. The problem is we don't want to double up this data. It's literally it's work for us to be like, okay, how many of you want to move your characters over? So we want to put a barrier on there, right? They could have just said, screw it, we don't want to do the work, we're not offering it. And nobody would have blinked an eye.
Right.
Right? And so that's why I'm saying, just do it later. They keep save states. They could have been like, launching in that and like, hey guys, we hear some of you really wanted to do both, right? We're going to put this option in. We'll go back to the data of this date, right? And for this fee, you can clone your character over to TBC and that. By putting it as an after, right? They look like heroes. But they were upfront about it. They're like, listen, guys, we thought about it ahead of time. Here, make your choice.
Well, and the funny part is, that's one of their critiques or loud complaints is Blizzard's not upfront with what they're trying to do. It's like, yeah, they are. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's like Manny just described the situation.
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're having this meltdown here. Like, I think the problem too, and like you were saying, like the negative echo chamber or reverberation chamber, which sounds cooler. I fell into that myself back in BFA. Like, I was watching Beliar and I was watching Asmongold, and I was like, yeah, World of Warcraft sucks now. I'm going to go play Classic 100% because BFA's garbage. And my guildie, Panda Senin, which I want to thank him for kind of bringing me back down into reality, was like, dude, Like, why do you hate this game? So, like, you still log in every Wednesday for raid.
Mm-hmm.
You're still doing your stuff to upkeep your character. Go play something else, or you can focus on the positive. Because you can't change what's happening right now. You're not a dev, right? You're not making the decisions. So what's the problem? And I had to sit there and really think with that and marinate in that and go, you know what, dude? You are absolutely right. I was being... I don't know what I was being, but I wasn't being my normal self, which is try to be positive, focus on the things I can control and all that good stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where, like, kind of what I was going with that initial thought of the content creators being responsible with their messaging is that you can easily send people down into the reverberation chamber, and it's hard to get out. So, but Projali, like, what are some of your thoughts on that?
In terms of the game as it stands now, I mean, I've been a raider since I started in vanilla. Like, once I got to 60, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so raid content's been great this tier. I mean, Nathria, really fun tier to prog on. I like the difficulty level. Mythic Plus dungeons have been great as a boomkin.
Number one class on DPS per wowhead.
Oh god, don't even get me started.
Okay, but that single target, okay, we're not starting this. We're not starting that.
Every week I have to bring up council as the reason. But yeah, it's I don't know. Dungeons are fine. I don't do a ton of keys these days, but just fortified weeks with friends is fun time. I think the world quests are a little flat, but I don't remember a time other than maybe Isle of Kildonis where I was like, oh, these dailies are kind of cool, and this is an interesting system. And eventually you burn out on daily quests. Like, I don't think there's a way. If the devs can find a solution to keeping world quests like constantly interesting for a whole patch cycle, they've cracked the code. You know, I guess
what I'd recommend
was pretty fun. But...
yeah, every world quest is a bombing run.
Oh,
I love those.
That's when I'm out day one. Just like, okay, well, I'm never repping up with these guys.
How many bombing runs do we get to do today? 27? Hell yeah, sign me up.
These two bombing runs actually have a flying mount in between them. You can jump on to fly to the next bombing.
Ooh, I like it.
So,
in fact, all flight routes have now become bombing runs.
You can literally bomb while you fly.
And if you get all the mobs, it's free. It's not
there you go.
A gold 50 or whatever it is now.
They won't charge you the gold fee, yeah. I don't know. I've been doing a little PvP arena with some friends. I think people, and I think Manny talked about it as well, pretty well, is that the pandemic situation has really put a magnifying glass on what kind of a typical patch cycle for your average patch in WoW has been. You know, it's longer than usual for sure, but I think people are much more focused on the negative aspects of it and looking at things in the past with rose-colored glasses, which, you know, happens every expansion. You know, why can't it be like Legion when they don't remember how kind of a grind Legion release was? Everybody talks about Legion as this greatest thing ever, and they weren't ones who got like their worst legendary choice to drop for them first, and then they were stuck for months not having a legendary to play with in raids. So like, it's easy to look back, or all the people who are talking about Mists of Pandaria was going to be a nightmare because why are they bringing pandas into my game?
That's right.
And now raiders, and other just casual players as well, look back at MOP as like, oh my god, that expansion was awesome. I loved that content. Those raids were great. The farm was, you know, while it was new, it was fun. Like, I don't know.
Uncapped dailies, folks. Remember those?
Uncapped
when
dailies.
You felt like you had to do 50 daily quests a day?
Timeless Isle.
Oh, you forgot about that. That's right. Well, Timeless Isle is one of those things where people kind of harken back to as like the greatest thing of MoP, and it's like that was at the end, right?
Yep. It was not the first patch.
Yeah. Like one of my guildies shared a meme that I thought was hilarious because it had like a picture of the box art, the original classic box art.
Yeah.
And it had like the top like eighth of it had a box, like a bracket, and it said best expansion ever, and then the rest of it was, there's no content. And it's like, that's every expansion since the dawn of time. But yeah. No, I mean, I think this is the most engaged in the game I've been than in the longest time that I can remember. Like, I'm still doing my emissaries. I mean, I'm not doing them every day, but I'm still doing them. And I'll cruise around and do dailies just because I feel like it. And I'll go and do, you know, the dungeon quests, the weekly dungeons and stuff. And I have a good time. And the level squish has been awesome. Like, leveling alts. Like, I leveled my alt. Now, I'm not getting them raid ready, so I can see that being kind of a fun adventure with Torghast and the Soul Ash Gate. Which I'm kind of getting a taste of right now with that alt, because I only have two. I have 2 legendaries, but I need like 2 weeks worth of Ash. And I'm like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to get that, but that's okay. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like, I think the developers are doing a good job. Is it perfect? It's never perfect. But if I expect perfection, like, I'm going to just be let down every turn that I go down, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like there was a part of it where it's like, oh, they take forever to get these quality of life changes in. Nobody wants this, and then they're going to, like, in patch, like, 9.3, that's when they're going to, like, fix it finally, and then we're all going to be going crazy. And it's like, no, you have to understand that, like, the stuff that they put in is based on how they need the game to play out. Like, if we were, and I said this literally on the latest episode that I recorded, but people are like, oh, conduit energy, like, that's so bad, it's so limiting, I can't do stuff, and I get the complaint, because I'm one of the people who gets limited by conduit energy. I want to jump into a raid and play one way, and then I want to go do my Mythic Plus and do it another way, and it requires that I use the same Soulbind, but change up the conduit. So, like, I run afoul of it a couple of times, and I have to be like, I guess I'm using the, like, less conduits, or have to have, like, a second less optimal Soulbind to go run this. And so, like, yeah, like, I'm running up against it as well. And it would be worse if the Soulbinds were like, here's the way that you can do great AoE with a different setup, then here's the way that you can do great single target. Because I would be that player that's like, okay, I'm going back to the Covenant, switching this up, and then going in. Even though the reason that they made it that way is so that people aren't constantly being like, okay, let me pop a tome and change my talents as the easier way. But I can just imagine where people are now going through and saying, like, oh, Blizzard, like, I want to re-roll my legendary because, like, I was Bastion and I was going haste verse, and then I switched over to the Venthyr, and now crit's there, so I want haste crit, and I need to, like, oh, I've got to go create an entirely new legendary for this. And I'm like, listen, if they allowed you to refund your legendary and redo it, the optimal way to play would be like, oh, I'm switching to this setup that requires more mastery, or this setup that requires more crit, and then keep flipping your legendary, because that's one of the largest sources that you're going to get of that secondary.
Right. And
that would create a situation where you feel like you have to mandatorily grind Torghast every week to have enough Soul Ash in the bank to constantly flip your legendary. So, like, people don't understand exactly how, like, these changes will flip out. So I actually argued for it to go the other way, where legendaries have set stats. You buy the missive that is required for that set stat of the legendary in order to make it, and you never switch them. So, like, yes, this legendary might have the best stats for you, but it doesn't have the best proc. And this one might have the best proc, but it doesn't have the best stats. And that actually creates different niches for the legendaries, other than which proc and which piece performs best, because you get to choose everything else. Restraint breeds creativity is basically what I think.
Right. Well, and like, to your point, like, When I was first cruising through, my first legendary memory I got was was it Jotuns? Anyways, it's the thing. Yeah, so you get to do the chain heal thing. So you pop 5 lesser healing waves or healing surges, and then I can do an empowered chain heal. So I went through and I had that, and it wasn't my best in slot because I found out later that chain heal's garbage, just for mana reasons and throughput reasons. And I switched that later on. But in the moment, this is what I had. This is what I had to do, so I made it work. And I was doing great, and I was loving life. I was getting purple parses. Little did I know I could have gone higher than that. But, for what I had and what I was doing and my gear level and all that stuff, I made it work, and I had a ton of fun figuring that out. And I think if I get too many choices, that's when, like, the corruption, for example, like I know corruptions gets bagged on quite a bit. When I have to go sim everything constantly, then that kind of takes away from me. That's just how I play. But to your point, like, I like that idea because I don't want to have to make this choice or do this thing and have to think about how I'm going to optimally do everything I'm doing and try to go fix it. Like, I think that right now the legendary system, I feel like it's pretty good. I think the only critique I have is that the best elemental shaman one was on a world boss that didn't quite spawn right away, which kind of sucked. Yep. But I mean, other than that, like, I think it's fun. I'm enjoying it. So I don't know.
I'm still a detractor from Covenants. I think that the mini games are half baked and not that interesting. I think that the fact that you can be like, again, it's one of those things where sometimes you get stuck with one thing that is good, but the other one is different, and that kind of conflict, it's always going to have feel bad moments. Let's say I want to switch from like enhancement to elemental. In order for me to like play at like the level that I want to play, suddenly I got to like jump over to like to the Necrolords just so I can play elemental with like the setup that I want. Or hey, wait a second, actually the best soulbind is over with the Night Fae, so now I got to jump over there. And it's like, I get that they're trying to make it like, oh, all of these choices are valid, but what inevitably happens, and again, talking about content creators going full circle, is that most players do not know how to do the math. I don't know how to do the math.
Yeah, I don't either.
They go to the theory crafters or to the guide, and they go and look up and they go, okay, which one's the best? And those guides, which is again content creators, they list them off, but they won't tell you exactly what the difference is, right? So you'll just be like, okay, this is my best. That's the one I have to go through with. And we have seen from data that has been like pulled from like all these different sites, Raider.io and all of that, that's what the huge majority of players are doing. They are just following the advice that's given to them. That advice comes from theory crafters, content creators, so forth, right? So that influence is huge. And that's why, as content creators, we kind of have that responsibility that you were talking about. Like, not only to present the information fairly and maybe take out a lot of the bias, but also to give enough information that people can make an informed decision.
Right. Well, and like you said, like, we have our own biases. So, like, if I go to Projali and I say, hey, Projali, what class should I raid with? I want to try to do Mythic, right? Wowhead tells me that Balanced Druid is the greatest Druid DPSer to ever live. I need to record these because I love seeing your face every time I say that. But anyways, what could I, what should I do? Like, let's say that. Let's use that as an example. Now, Projali knows his team. He knows what he needs. I don't. I'm just going to go look at Wowhead and go, wow, Balanced Druid's killing it. I'm going to go be a Balanced Druid. And he's going to give me the hard and fast, well, bud, actually, that's for one fight. You should probably look at these classes instead because of these reasons. So, yeah, I hit that's... I don't even know.
I mean, if you want to play the God ranged, it's Affliction Lock. I mean...
If you want to play melee and actually get a spot, like
you're not stacking
bring AMC.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or DK.
If you want to play melee and actually get a spot, bring AMC.
Yeah, bring a raid debuff or an AMC. Yeah, it's easy for people to go and look at the guide, and I think the guides serve as good intros. Like, if I'm dropping into an alt, I leveled a mage to 60, and I am not an expert by any means at Frost Mage. You know, I'm aware of our fire mages because all of our mages are playing fire right now in Mythic. But Frost is looking really good, and it's actually really good on some fights now. But if you look at the overall meta, and you just see every mage playing fire right now, there's no context as to why they're playing fire or where a Frost Mage would be really valuable on a fight like Stone Leech Generals or something where, you know, funnel damage is insane. So, like, I think you lose some of the niches if you just look at these big picture and you just take the graph for granted. And some of that distinction comes in once you get more experience with that class, but asking a brand new player or a player who plays pretty casually, all this pressure now to select everything correctly, but then it's gated behind Covenant choice.
Mm-hmm.
It gets tricky. Like, how do they balance a system which aesthetically is really cool? You have an identity, you have a team, like a clan almost, which in a fantasy game is a pretty cool element to it, but it's still at the base of it, it's a talent tree.
Mm-hmm.
But it's locked behind renown. It's locked behind a bunch of gating systems, which, I don't know, it feels restrictive in some ways, but I understand why they did it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, from, like you said, the fantasy perspective, it kind of makes sense, because, like, if you're coming through here, like, if we were, say we're leaders of these groups, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, we have this living thing that's coming into our realm. We have this giant problem. We're like, well, I guess you're going to help us? Mm-hmm. But how can I trust you, you know? Right. So you're going to go do these quests and all this stuff, and you're going to build my trust. That's kind of how I look at it. So when I play these games, I'm in the world. Like, I kind of look at it through an RPer's eyes almost. Mm-hmm. Like, does this make sense in a world, like, if this was real life kind of thing?
Yeah.
So I think that's what helps me kind of get through some of these downsides, as you guys are pointing out, which are fair critiques, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, what are some of those things that you guys do that kind of help you deal with some of these shortcomings that we know are there? Yeah, I mean, how do you guys handle it?
Well,
besides
honestly,
raging on the internet.
I tweet about it.
For me, it's like, if there's any shortcoming that really is getting to me, I can either play around it, right? Mitigate it, or just realize that, like, it's there, and it becomes an issue. Like, for Azeroth, we love story, and I didn't like the story in BFA. Doesn't mean that I didn't like the raids. Loved raiding. Loved most seasons of Mythic Plus. Like, Infesting was ugh. But then we got like so many good ones, like Awakening, but, like, come on. We had the entire thing with Bonsomdi and Reaping. I thought that the, like, current Prideful was clearly that they realized that, like, Kiss Curse is the way to go, like they wanted to, and that came in with season 4, was it? Sorry,
which one?
The Nyalotha raid, and when you could, like, actually create those skips. That was Awakening,
that was
right?
Awakened,
yeah. That was an amazing season for me, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Right? I played more Mythic Plus than I needed to, because that was just such a great system. Doesn't mean that I didn't have my criticisms. I just doubled down on the stuff that I loved. right? And I think that's kind of the best way to go about it. Like, there are going to be problems. There are always going to be problems. You said, nothing's ever going to be perfect, and you expect things to be perfect, you're always going to be disappointed, right? But I loved raiding, and I did raiding through this entire tier. I love mount hunting, and I'm switching more to doing hunts for mounts, and maybe I'll get invincible next week or this week. Cross fingers.
I believe in you.
Yeah, and that's always something that I love. And the way that I go about it is just as I get time, as like we wind down in the raiding cycle, and I am now finishing up with one thing that I love, I shift gears and go into something else that I love. And so the game still has a lot to offer me until I get all the mounts and clear through all of the raids on the highest difficulties. I'm not going to be done with this game.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I love Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, but have you ever tried to go back and play on a Nintendo 64 controller? And those damn C buttons?
It's rough.
Yeah, good luck with that. That is brutal. So, and you have the potato graphics to top that off, so. But I still love the game, and I still play it because I enjoy it. I'm not going to say, ooh, Ocarina of Time sucks now because it doesn't look like Breath of the Wild, you know. It's like, well, duh, it's an old game. It's supposed to look like crap. All the TVs are nice now, so, you know.
We see all the flaws.
It doesn't quite process it like it used to. Oh, geez. But, yeah, I mean, that's a great way to look at it, too. Like, there's so many elements here. And for someone to just, like, blatantly go, well, I've had enough, I'm going to throw the baby out with the bathwater, just is, to me, is ridiculous. And, you know, I'm going to lay it out here. I don't care anymore. But, like, when I hear stuff like this, like the Bellular videos, for example, when I was watching those, I saw a child throwing a tantrum. I have 2 teenage kids. And when they were little kids and they wanted something real bad, and they didn't get it, guess what they did? They got on the floor, they cried real loud, they threw things, they got super mad, and then they calmed down and kept going. Like, when I see stuff like that, that's the first thought I have in my mind is, wow, okay, well, I mean, you're going to bed early, youngster. And that could be my age, or because I have different life experience than a lot of people. I don't know. But when someone brings to me a list of critiques that is thought out, that is not just, I'm going to say this to anger people, I will take that way more seriously than someone saying, you know, Ian's a liar or whatever. That doesn't do anything. That just creates conflict where conflict doesn't need to be created. It doesn't get the point across. And so if I was a dev and I saw this, I would be laughing, if I'm being honest. I'd be like, what is this? Like, really? You don't get chocolate milk, so you're going to, like, just break everything? Like, what's going on here? So I think the kind of moral of the story, of what I was trying to get to, like, coming back to the responsibility of us as content creators, you know, messaging is important. It's vital that we come out and we could say our piece. Critiquing is fine. I want to clarify that. Like, critiquing is great, but just put some thought behind it, because it's going to add more weight, it's going to add more clout, and it's going to be taken seriously from more people than just this knee-jerk reaction stuff. So, I don't know.
Okay,
that's my thought on it.
I agree with a lot of your thought. And I think that it is hard to ask somebody to dissect your argument rationally, take out the hyperbole, when you weren't able to do that yourself. So I do believe that Bellular and Asmongold are not doing themselves any favors when they put in that stuff that could be perceived as vitriol. When Bellular and Asmongold say the stuff that they say and say that they love the game, I genuinely believe them. I think they're passionate about this game. I think they love this game. I think they want what's best for this game. The problem becomes that when you start raising your voice and being and accusing, well, the other person is gonna get defensive. And if that person holds all the cards, you don't want them to suddenly just be like, okay, I'm done listening to you because you've called me incompetent and an idiot and like saying that I'm trying to like gouge all these people, right? Like, no, I don't believe that to be the case. I honestly, if you were to ever have a sit down conversation with, like, if Bellular ever sat down in front of Ian and like made his case, I swear all of that language would be stripped out because he would realize that he's trying to make an appeal directly to them. Right. When you put out these videos, speak to your audience. If you were talking about like this game being improved, your audience is now the developers, right? When you are making a case and you are adding in all this inflammatory, inciting language, you realize either subconsciously or consciously that you've shifted your audience. It's no longer about the developers and how they can improve the game. It's about the fan base and how you can incite them, right? And if you use purposely inflammatory language, then somewhere along the way, you made that decision, maybe, right? Now, I think that, again, I take the time and I pick apart these things and I go like, okay, this is a fair point, this is a fair point, this is stuff that I can agree with, but I don't think you can always ask that of somebody, especially when it's in the 12 videos you put out today because a new patch dropped, right? Like, it's not right. And there is something to be said, right, about the Reddit thread where supposedly Jab responded and said, well, these people are making money off of this like clickbait sort of insightful stuff. And there is something to be said about that. Like, if you talk to Bellular, he says, yes, there are YouTube algorithms that I am having to dance a part to. So he will make his thumbnails in a certain way. He will title his videos in a certain way because it attracts viewers. And then half the time, if you listen through the stuff, he puts together a very well constructed argument, right? But again, the more you are on that negative bend, the harder it is for you to pull out of that spiral. And I think that that's like really becoming a play. As for Asmongold, like, he's trying, supposedly. Like, that's a much harder one for me to like give them credit for, because they have been in that sort of niche.
That's a shtick, right?
Yeah, it's a stick. I'm sure that he plays a part and that he has an actual character, but there's only so much that you can like method act before it stops being a mask. Right? And I really worry how much of the mask is still there and how much of it is Asmongold's thing. But, like, in more general terms, I think, again, if you can look on the bright side of things, if you can focus on that good side, you will find tons and tons of things to enjoy in just the Shadowlands content alone. If you are looking for the bad, you will find the bad, and that will be what you see. So, go in there and look for the good times.
Yeah, that also applies to just life.
Right.
I mean, over this last year, like, I went down this, I mean, to get kind of personal here, like, I fell down a hole, man. Like, I was not doing well. And, you know, I lost a bunch of weight, and all this COVID stuff hit, and I'm sitting here like, holy crap, I'm going to lose people. Like, I might die myself. This is going to be nuts. So it's time to party, baby. So I gained all my weight back, which sucks. But, again, I was looking at the negatives, and it was driving wedges between relationships that I was having, you know, with family members. And that's not who I am. You know, I'm a pretty jovial person, and I look for the bright sides, and it took me a better part of a year to get back to that. And so when I see this kind of negativity bent on things, like, I get the algorithms, I get all that stuff, but like, I know there are other people out there just watching this and listening that are going through currently the same crap I was going through. And so when I hear Asmongold say, well, it's players that look at the positive that are the problem, I go, hold on there, Ace. Like, I'm doing this because I agree that some of these other things kind of suck, but I'm not gonna dwell on that because it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me move forward. It doesn't help anybody move forward, and it just puts me in a hole. So it's kind of the dangerous piece on that as well, like just for the psychological standpoint. Just with these content creators being mindful of what they're saying and how they're saying it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
the devs have always, well, dev team, community managers, back when they had a much more public-facing team. And even then, still, I mean, devs getting on, like, I think there's an interview with Salute today. Like, Ian had his with Preach. Like, they consistently have decision makers on podcasts and YouTube and just outreaches there. But, I mean, I can even think back to Vanilla being on the forums and Shamans asking when's our overhaul coming in Vanilla? Like, when are we getting all these cool enhancement tools that we're asking for? When can our DPS specs do some damage? Like, lists and lists of suggested changes that the players were just like, we know you need to implement these, just do it. And Ionix was on the forums. He was the Shaman community manager at that point. Just having to kind of hold the wall, and you'd be like, we're working on this, guys. Sorry, it's going to be another patch. It's another patch. Oh, now it's going to be the release for BC. And when he, made that announcement, it's like, here's the things we have given you. Sorry, we can't give you guys this, but, you can be happy with this. People flipped on him, literally sent him death threats. That's where the whole bus shock meme came from. Like, go get hit by a bus. Like, literal death threats. And he's sitting there just kind of laughing it off, but it's gotta have an effect. And who is going to listen to anybody who includes that in their feedback? You didn't listen to us, the players who definitely didn't develop this game. We're telling you to get hit by a bus now. Keep your ears open and keep listening to us. Like, there's no way. You just lose. You lose everything as soon as you make it personal. Like,
yep.
And even in just, like, our own little communities, right? Like, don't be that guy in the guild who's like, everything in this game sucks, and, like, well, why are you playing? Well, I like playing with you guys. It's like, dude, I don't want to be holding you hostage. Like, if you don't like playing, we can play something else, man. Like, just don't show up for raid. It's fine. Right. We'll go play something else.
Yeah. Yep. There's a billion other games out there.
Right.
And, like, seriously, like, it does you good to step away. My guild did that in Cataclysm right after Firelands, where we just had to step away. And so, I had two little kiddos at that point. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take some time for me, kind of figure out this dad stuff because I'm new to it. I want my kids to survive. Let's do that. So, I took some time from it. But when I came back to the game, I was like, oh, yeah, all these things that I loved and all these other stuff is still here waiting for me. And sure, there's some things that are not fun, but I was looking forward to the fun stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And stepping away for family, for friends, for just yourself is valid. And you stepping away for your kids, I thank you for that. Child Services thanks you for that. Like, it's just, it's part of, like, how the world is, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
People act like they can't play other games. It's like, hey, just do your raid and then go take a break for the next 2 months of the patch or whatever. Like, hang out, do other stuff. Like, that is totally fine. This is not going to hold. I bet there hasn't been a patch in this game's existence where the population at the start of the patch is the same at the end. Like, it always, people fall out of the game and then a new patch comes out and they rejoin. It's just how MMOs go. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, a popular one that people like to spout out to the heavens that they switch to is Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I am not a huge fan of that game, but I did play it, just for the record. I couldn't get into it. It's not for me, and that's fine. I don't play it and I don't beg on it. But, I mean, if you really feel that way, go be a cat person in Final Fantasy XIV. It's okay.
There you go.
Be your inner cat.
You can be one of those lolies.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's totally fine. You want to be a giant dude in a Speedo? Go for it. Like, go be your
I
best
thought you
self.
weren't bagging on this. Like the guy in the Speedo, like he could be in a rope.
Hang on, Cy.
But I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not judging you for it. Like, go for it. Like, go do what you want to do instead of dwelling on this stuff. Because even if, all right, let's say Ian listens and he's like, okay, guys, you're right. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. You know, I'm gonna change all this stuff in like 6 months because we have to go through the code and actually code it all to change to what we need it to be. So even if we can't fix it tomorrow, which they can't, right? What are you going to do in the meantime? Just wait it out?
Well, I'll give you something else, right? Let's say Ian has like this big red button in his office and he presses it and everything, right, that like, I don't know, Asmongold asks for gets changed tomorrow, right? I know how many people are going to quit the game over it because there are so many different people playing this game that have so many different wants. You're never going to be able to please everybody with any one fix. No. I know people who are like, I hate flying. I hope they never put flying. It's so much better in the beginning of the expansion. And I have other friends that I'm like, yeah, no, I kind of agree with them. And they're like, if they told me that there was an expansion that there would never be flying, I would quit the game immediately, right? Like, just on one change, right? Not the laundry list of stuff that people are pointing out. Just one change, being like, if I don't get flying at some point in the expansion, I'm done with the game, right? If they unlock conduit energy, right? Preach is going to be dancing all over the place. Meanwhile, like, another guy's going to be like, oh man, now my raid team keeps asking me to switch every fight and this is stupid and I'm done with the game.
Right.
That's a great
right?
point.
So,
yeah.
People
absolutely
will quit
right.
over anything.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. There's so many, like, when these folks suggest changes, my first thought is, what are you thinking? Like, how? This doesn't make any sense, what you just suggested, person. And, like, I had a conversation on somebody's Discord, and I straight up said, like, whenever those guys suggest something, my first reaction is to recoil because I don't play the same way they do. Like, I love Torghast. I'll say it again. I love Torghast. It's my favorite thing to do in WoW. And you know why? It's because my wife and I can go two-person it. That's the only instance content, besides Old Dungeons, of course, where I can go in with just her and I, and we can go lay waste to some monsters. And I love it. I have a great time with it, but that's how I play. Now, I understand the gripes behind Torghast. I get the critiques and all that stuff. I wish they would find another way to give Soul Ash as well. Or even Twisting Corridors, like if they would find a way to maximize, not maybe maximize, but maybe like you could do a Twisting Corridors and get all your Ash for the week or something. I don't know. Something like that. I mean, that would be great, but everyone's like, oh, I gotta go do Torghast again. And it's like, well, I get to do Torghast, so I'm excited. In fact, when I was leveling my Shaman, I did like layer 1, then I did layer 2, then I did layer 3 until I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But that's just me. That's just what I enjoy. So, I mean, and to kind of finish this idea, like, there are so many different ways to play this game. So, like, we had Kraken Latte on, who's a YouTube creator, where she does alt stuff. Like, that's what she does. She used to be a Mythic hardcore raider, and she said, you know what? F this noise. It's too much for me. I'm going to go level alts and level 1,000,000 of them. And she does. And she makes wonderful videos. And she even gets a bunch of crap pitched at her because people don't like her ideas. So it's like there's no happy way to do this.
Well,
because there's so many different ways to do
MMO is if you've got complaints from all sides about, no, that's the wrong way to play this game. It's like, well, somebody's doing it and they're enjoying it. That's a pretty successful model for this type of like game design.
Right.
And there's Ian many ways to play.
Out said it. Yeah. Ian had flat out said it. People were like, "Oh, there's not catch up. Can we like get instant boost to 40?" And Ian's like, "If I did that, I would be taking away so much play from the people who like building up their alts. Like, no, they're not trying to like get their alt to be mythic rating ready. They just want to go through the story and develop their ult so that they get all of their Covenant tier sets and build that up to stuff. And at the end of it, they're at like item level 200. They're never going to be able to touch mythic rating at an item level 200, but that's their goal. And if we shut it all down so that you skip them all, you get an instant set that puts you at 213 so that you can start jumping into mythic, right? I've shut down the game for how many people? It's the same way with the loot system, right? Everybody was like, oh yeah, classic, like, man, loot means something again. And then they shifted the loot system, and now everybody's like, geez, you hit that 200 wall and you can't go anywhere, this is horrible. And it's just like, yeah, there was this player base that was just remaining silent, and then they make a change, and suddenly those people are complaining, and then they'll change it back, and then I'll be complaining, and then they'll change it back, and suddenly, like, Pro will be like, this is ridiculous, we just spent how much going through Mythic, and now we can't even do heroic farms, because everybody's getting, like, loot for signing on. Right? I'm poor.
You're taking my market.
I'm poor. I can't afford the podcast anymore.
I need my loot funnels.
It's so true. Well, and I think another, like, I mean, to that point, like, the game has to have a structure. Like, we have to have, like, here are the hard, fast rules of the game. Otherwise, it's not a game. It's just a pay. Then that's truly pay to win. Like, if we're paying to boost up to the next level. And, if Blizzard was truly trying to get you to just throw their wallet, or throw your wallet at them, they would do something like that. But, now, I'm going to probably catch some heat for this, but I have an accounting degree, so I kind of understand how business works. So when they set price points on things, there's usually a cost associated with that. I know that's hard to understand for some of you out there. Like, I'm getting kind of mean here.
Just give me a second. I'm writing this down.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on.
So there's a cost associated with it, and they probably use those costs to try to limit this behavior. Because, like, the boost in TBC, they don't want people boosting. It's there if you want it. It's going to cost you, though. So if you have to weigh the money or time to level through the classic stuff, like, that's your decision. But I don't think Blizz is there to gouge you. Like, I just don't think that's the case. Do I think the shop prices are too expensive? Of course I do. But if they were cheaper, guess what? Everyone and their grandma's buying one, or 2, or 5, or 20. And now it is way more expensive than even that. So I think for me, like, when I see the attacks on the company, not here comes the shillness in me. I don't take those seriously at all, because there's no reasonable gripe to that. There's no reason behind you being upset than just the price point's too high, or the fact that it exists is a problem for you. I think that when someone lays out a legit argument, like you just did, Manny, like you talked about the if we gave the boost to 40 or whatever, whatever the thing is, then everyone's going to do that because that's the min-max way to do it, right? So why would Blizzard go out and do that if they truly want it? Like, I don't know. Someone open my door.
I mean, like, the flat out point is that, hey, we'll give you boost to 58. You get each of them for like $5. Do you know what happens? Some company in one region or another is going to like buy out like 50 of them, right, per account, right, and then they're going to like farm gold all over this, and then Blizzard has to deal with the botting incident. So really, they're just like, you know what? Let's make it prohibitively expensive, right? Yes, this is going to be expensive, but you know what? You're really only supposed to buy one. It's set so you're only supposed to buy one, so that the people who want to play with their friends, right? Because their friends are like, oh yeah, we're playing TBC Classic, come join us. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure. You only need one character to do that. If you want more than one character, please don't. But if you want more, right, you have two things. You have the time, or you have the money, right? Typically, people have one or the other, if not both. And if you're playing the Burning Crusade with attunements and heroic modes and stuff, you probably have the time. So it's just a way to skip to that point so you can play with your friends on day one. You spend a little bit more money, right? And you get in there. If they made it cheaper, it opens up issues, right? And that's probably why the price point is set where it is, where you do have to think about it. It's not something that you just jump on.
Well, and that's one thing I actually appreciate about Blizzard's cash shop. Like, I don't like cash shops. I'm an old school guy. I haven't proven that this episode. I don't know when I will. But, I don't like cash shops because it sets a bad precedent for younger generations. And when a skin is like $2, it's easy to hit that button. Oh, yeah. Give me that skin, baby. But if it's $20, you're going to kind of stop and think. You go, that feels like that's a lot of money. This is an actual investment I'm making. This isn't just a quick little $2 thing. Because if Blizzard wanted to bilk you for your money, they would put everything for like $1 or $2. And they would bring in, you think they make money now off of
volume,
microtransactions. They would be rolling in it because everybody would be like, oh, it's only $2.
Yep.
I got $2.
Instead of a boost to 58, they'd be like, here, skip 3 levels for $5. And somebody would buy one, somebody buy like 20 of them, and like they would just, it would be like, oh, okay, yeah, let me pay. Right. If they really wanted to bilk you, the first couple of levels would be a little bit more expensive, and then as you group them, they would get progressively cheaper. So you're like, of course I'm going to buy the group thing. Look at all this money I'm saving. No, they're taking you, right? We've all seen that before, especially in freemium games. You think Blizzard's after you now? Wait until they put in Conduit Energy restoration for $2 a week. Oh,
right.
That was a good alter screenshot. I don't know if people saw that. Somebody put one out, like cash shop for Conduit Energy.
Yes.
I was like, no, but
don't give them the idea.
But that would be the move. Like, that's the move. If you're going to maximize profits, that's the move right there. Yep. You make it to a point, because now $20 is, oh crap, I got to think about this, because that's an actual substantial amount of money that I need for my groceries or for my rent or for whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that...
Have any of you played Fallout 76?
No, I skipped that one after I saw the launch. I was like, I'm going to give this a month and see, and I was like, nope, did not.
It's kind of like No Man's Sky as well.
That's...
They turned it around for sure.
Yeah, that's a game where they introduce things and then sell you the answer. They had we're going to introduce food spoiling, and then there's a cash shop to buy a fridge to keep it from spoiling.
Oh my god!
Literally introducing a new mechanic and then putting the solution on the cash shop, right? So when people are screaming about WoW trying to sell you stuff, it's like, no, not really. Anybody who wants to play Classic, right? You have so much time. And they've lowered the experience required to get you up to 58. So go ahead, jump on, send your character over to the Classic server, jump on the TBC server on the 18th, and you'll level up faster, right?
Yeah, right.
And hey, they didn't put in a race change to Blood Elves and Draenei. That's an obvious money maker, but they didn't do it. They're leaving money on the table. Why are they? No, wait a second. They're not after all your money.
Right. Long story short.
The level 58 boost, right, is one per account. So, I mean, you could have multiple accounts technically.
Yeah.
But it's one per account. So, I mean, they put a cap on there for a reason, even though it's that money. That's the thing they could remove if they really only wanted money. They could also, like you're saying, with copy to the new races, like Draenei and Blood Elf, they excluded those from the level 58 boost. You can't boost a brand new Burning Crusade, you can't do it. So, some of the people I've seen complaining about it are, hitting their head. Asmongold hitting his head against his treehouse was just perfect. But I don't know if he's a no changes vanilla player or a classic player. There was a bunch of people who were like, we want no changes to the classic experience.
All of those guys were.
So
big time.
This is, in a way, if you don't buy any of these things, these completely optional things, that is the classic experience, because we went into BC. you didn't get a level 60 with your purchase of BC. You just had your tune and you went on into BC. Like, they're giving you the option of copying it back down to classic, but I mean, we were on from vanilla at that point. We were going to level 70. You didn't have a choice. Well, you could keep like
you could level in your tune,
19s and 29s and stuff. Like, that's still a thing. But like an optional mount, an optional character boost that you can do once, and an optional copy down to an old server
that you're probably never going to go back to except for maybe twice in the lifespan.
If you're really investing your playtime into BC and doing everything like rep grinds and getting attunements for heroic dungeons and getting into Karazhan and getting ready for Lady Vaj and Kate, like, that took so long.
You're never going to go back unless you're
hedging
your
bet.
bet.
Next Rammus again? I don't know.
No.
Like, I don't know.
Well, unless you're hedging your bets that TBC sucks, which you already know it doesn't. So, like, I don't know, man.
Just look at the bright side, man. These are optional things.
They're optional.
To do these.
Yeah. Well, and even right now, you log into Classic, they say, which one do you want to do? Do you want to keep this character in Classic, or do you want to move to TBC?
Yeah.
Free.
Yep.
Free of charge.
And, like, the last thing I want to say about these optional things are that they are things that do not affect the power in the game, right?
Right.
Somebody who's jumping in with a bunch of runecloth bags at 58 isn't going to break the economy in and of themselves, right? They're also not going to be like the pro raider thing, because, like, come on, we all remember the huge power reset that happened when you jumped through the portal and you were changing raid gear out for greens and you got your clown suit by the time you were like 65, right?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. But maybe they forgot. They're about to learn. Yeah, I don't know. I just think like kind of bringing this thing full circle here. People are hurting, like, emotionally, right? Not to get too lovey-dovey on it, but, like, realistically, there's a lot of bad stuff happening in the world outside of game. And that takes a toll on you, whether you think it does or doesn't. So, not being able to go outside freely, there's issues, of course. You know, you're taking your own safety, like, even more so. I think it's more pronounced right now. Your safety is in your own hands, whether you believe it or not. The reality is there's a virus out there that could get you. It could get your loved ones, and that's a huge, just elephant. Elec. Let's do an Elec, because those are WoW
Burning
related.
Crusade.
Just sitting on you. So WoW's supposed to be a game where you can escape to. Is dwelling on these bad things when there's actual bad things in the world happening, is that worth your time? I think that's a question that I would like to ask the folks listening right now, if you made it this far. Which, if you did, thank you. You guys have anything to add?
Deep breath, everybody. Deep breath. This game has been in a constant flux, and it will continue to be in a constant flux. New things that you like, new things you don't like. You can choose to focus on the negative. Just be positive.
to steal from your BC reference, I think, honestly, guys, just grab the Tollbook by the horns, ride it. It's going to be... It's going to be a fun adventure, right? I've seen the stuff coming with 9.1. Looks to be so much fun. Like, all of the raid bosses that we've tested so far, really good. Except for the eye. They really do need to buff that, because that was laughably weak. But, like, there's a lot of stuff coming. That's going to be great. The story has been, like, fantastic from what I've tested so far. And I think everybody's going to be, like, right back in a bit of a honeymoon mode as well.
Yep.
I hope so, because I'm super excited. Like, I'm excited to see the conclusion of the story. I'm excited to go check out, Tavavesh, or whatever the heck that thing's called. Too many V's and SH's in there.
There's a spaceship.
Yeah,
yes,
there's
space boats.
Space boats, yeah. It's literally a ship in space.
Cool. Well, I get to go see that, and I'm excited. I mean, there's just a lot of cool things, and when I'm in Azeroth, I don't have to think about the other stuff. The actual stuff. I can focus on, did my herbs sell today? Or do I need to undercut again for even less gold?
You gotta be a goblin, man.
Gotta be
Don't undercut. Wait. If anybody listening to this can take one thing away from this episode, do not undercut. Just repost at the same cost.
No, you gotta bring those numbers down and buy it out.
That's right.
No, stop cutting into my market share.
It's a long play.
Oh, jeez. Good
Oh,
stuff.
boy.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't undercut. Actually look at kind of how many's there in the undercut kind of bucket, and I'll go a couple prices up, and everything usually sells.
Mm-hmm.
So now, unless you have like a nice starting price, and then it's 17 prices from there. I mean, technically, I am undercutting. It's just not as bad. I'm impatient. I'm sorry.
If you're 15% below market, I'm probably buying out your stock.
That's right.
And making gold.
Yep.
See, I'm selling on a volume basis, not necessarily a profit margin basis.
You're just getting those numbers up.
That's right.
Yeah, if I resell the stuff that you put at bargain basement and make my margin off of that, then I'm selling at both volume and profit.
There you go.
True.
There you go. I'm just acting as a middle guy. That's all. That sweet, sweet, unnecessary middle guy.
Crash the market, buy everything.
Oh, jeez. Well, let's, any final thoughts to wrap that up? I know we kind of got deep on that one. I just want to kind of say, critique's good. Critiques are always welcome. Just please think them out and think of how you're presenting it. That's all I'm going to say.
Mm-hmm. You're talking to humans.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you provide feedback to developers, I mean, they're humans too.
Yeah. Don't call them stupid.
They want to make a great product.
Don't attack the person. You can attack the idea. You can say the idea is not that great, but think of the language you're using. Think of it like a debate. If I'm debating you on something, and I come out and say, "Well, you're an idiot," all of a sudden, my positions, no matter how well thought out they are null and void because I just did an ad hominem attack on you as the person, not the idea. So, focus the idea and say this is why it's bad. Don't focus on the person.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. Be as objective as you can. Whenever you're talking about things, discuss ideas, not people.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And you're probably sitting there like, well, you talked about those other guys. It's like, well, we're giving examples.
I mean, I criticize their arguments and actually compliment them because Beliar is a smart, reasoned person most of the time.
Majority of his content's on point,
Yeah.
And you can see him light up when he talks about other aspects of the game, too.
Oh, yeah.
Their team does a good job.
Well, and that's just it. Like, I'm sure if I knew Beliar in person, I'd probably be his friend. Like, he seems like that kind of person where he'd be cool to hang out with.
You just got to bring the Pepsi Max.
Oh, I'm going to keep that away, because that apparently is the trigger point there. For most people, it's whiskey, but for that dude, it's...
Yeah, there we get Pepsi Max.
But yeah, no, I totally agree with you guys. Like, with them, I do agree with a lot of what they say. I just don't agree with how they say it. And so, and in turn, like, I almost feel bad for them because they're saying it in ways that detracts from what they're actually saying. And I think that's, as a content creator, I don't like seeing my fellow content creators fall into those pitfalls. Because now you're, like you're saying, Manny, they're in the downward spiral of negativity, and that is a tough one to pull up from. So,
yep.
I'm wishing them the best, but we'll go.
Look forward to 9.1. It's going to be fun.
Hell yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's brighten up the day a little bit here. What has been your favorite scrub moment that you've achieved recently? And whoever wants to go first can jump right in here.
Oh, I'm going to put Projali on the spot because I got to think.
I don't know. I've been playing absolutely perfectly. Nothing to see here. I'm sure there's one.
I got one.
Oh, go for it, Manny.
I got one. Yeah. All right. So, like I told you guys, I got like all the 15s done. Got my my Keystone Master, and I upgraded my weapons and like my belt and a bunch of different things. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm there, right? Like I think my item level went from like 216 to like 222. It was like that big of a jump, right?
Nice. Yeah.
And then like I jump in and I'm like DPSing. I'm like, why in the world am I like not doing the damage I should be? And like I was like, well, whatever. Ended the night, scratching my head, went back in, did it again. Was just like, I don't know what's going on. And it wasn't until about, I think, the second day after that I realized I had never enchanted the weapons or anything, so I was missing every single proc in that.
Oh no!
Whoop! So that's my scrub moment recently.
That's a good one. That happens. Happens to the best of us. I know a lot of folks.
Is a good one.
Like one of my guildies has a weak aura that calls out who doesn't have their enchantments. So he's very quick to remind folks. But yeah, I've done that. In fact, I did that on my Horde Shaman. I was like, why am I not doing anything to anything? I was like, oh, maybe I should probably put some enchants on these babies.
That might help.
Typically, I'm better about this. I have, like, the enchants ready for, like, oh, I'm after this. Like, let me have the enchants ready, so as soon as they drop, I just, like, slap those on and I'm ready to go. I don't know what the hell happened, but I had this stuff in my bags for weeks, just being like, okay, as soon as we get this one last key, like, I'm there, and just never thought it through.
No.
Projali, what do you got? You got one?
It's something I was hoping I would never do.
It's about to go on the internet.
As a Night Fae balance trade, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Delete my internet. No. It was our Sire re-clear. I guess this was just yesterday, right? Monday. And so usually we've been clearing Mythic in one night and having Mondays off, but we needed extra Monday because we had some folks out and had to kind of pull together some alts and some friends of the guild who hadn't progged it with us, so it's sort of some learning curves. But one of the moves is so there's 4 additional adds in Mythic on each of the platforms, and they've got their own abilities, and so you've got to like kind of coordinate your DPS cooldowns half and half to make sure these adds die in a good time. Everybody knows Balanced Druid, who are Night Fae, do a lot of damage with their Celestial Alignment and their Convoke the Spirits combo. So we go over to my ad, the one I'm supposed to burn my cooldowns on. Our tank who's been filling in gets the debuff on Gloom Veil. It's looking all good. We're looking great. And I go to pop my Convoke the Spirits, my CA. I'm like, her health's not moving at all. What the hell? Usually she's at like 50% after that. I was in caster form, not Moonkin form.
Oh no, throwing all those heals.
So I did a lot of healing, man. Our healers were like, wow, this is really comfy. And I was like, yep.
You have Glyph of Stars?
Yep. What's that?
Do you have Glyph of Stars, or were you like full on like not in
Glyph of Stars.
Okay, at least that's not that bad. You didn't recognize that you're not in chicken form.
No. It's just I got my fingers all mixed up with my Warlock Gate macro and Poppin' Potion and CA, and somehow I got it out of form, and I was like, huh.
Okay. Parse gold on this healer side, but
yeah, I don't. That's a
DPS
lot of
side.
regrowths. I don't know what's. That's interesting.
Oh.
That is
Ad
beautiful.
did not die. We had to go again, but
that'll happen. That will happen.
Scrub it up.
Yeah, mine's not that fun, but I went on my main and spent the rest of my gold on the transmog yak. I've been wanting that yak for years now, and I'm like, you know what? I got 121k. I'm going to do it. So I go do it.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I got money on my alts. It's fine. I'll just send them. I'll send my main the money. Check the alts. There's no money. So I'm like, crap. We got to go do the emissaries now.
Yes, you do.
So I get on my mage. I might be the worst mage to ever live, just for the record. I had to go do, I think it was defending Maldraxxus, where you had to do like 4 world quests over there.
Right.
It took me almost 2 hours to do these world quests because I couldn't kill anything. And before I knew, I was like, what am I doing wrong? I don't even know what's happening. I don't know how to mage. I'm just going to keep throwing myself at this. So I died like 10 to 15 times, get the emissaries done, and I only was able to send a partial amount to my main because of my repair bill was so bad. I went red twice.
Oh,
it was beautiful.
No.
And I was like, I should probably do some research on this. And the worst part was I was Frost, so I could have Frost Nova'd and blinked away from everything, and I was just like, what are my buttons? How do I do this? Where am I?
Or Blizzard, Ice Lance, run away.
Yeah.
Polymorph?
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, that's right. They do have that.
They do have a polymorph, yeah. Kind of cool.
I did spell steal something, though, so I was really excited about that.
That's good.
I spell sealed.
Except that it was one of those like shade shields that like when it disappears you die.
It might as well have been that. It was like a bone shield. I was all excited.
I guess I have one more scrub moment.
Oh no!
I got my mage up to 60 this week, so I started running some low keys. You know, start getting them geared. Step into the other side, and as you head towards Hakar's wing, there's some ads that if you kill them, they create a spirit. And my first ult is my Ellie Shaman, so you just purge it right off. You just get rid of that thing. Mage spell steals, so it steals the debuff on that spirit, and I'm just chilling. And I'm like, hang on, I feel like you're not supposed to do that. Sure enough, as it expires, it just kills you. You're just dead. And so I release and I type LOL in the chat, and the tank's like, you spell steal, ? And I was like, yep. It's a lesson learned.
We should totally mage it up together and see what happens.
It's a fun class.
That will go swimming.
There's that one repair guy in Nathria, and they like put in those gold piles.
Oh yeah.
If you two ever mage it together, he's just gonna like pick up shop and just follow you around.
He will never have to work again.
We'll just have a repair guy following us the whole time. Yeah.
Oh jeez. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It was bad. It's like, okay, I don't like mage. There we go. Shaman for life, baby, or any other class but mage. Because I can't.
So you went to buy that yak earlier. You were in Miss Pandaria. You could have gone down to your Half Hill farm. Started making some mats. They still sell, Ghost Iron.
Yeah, I could have.
Could have bought your mount there,
I could have.
Just be a farmer. Just live that life.
All those cooldowns still sell. If you can do like
the living steel and stuff.
For living steel for Sky Golem. Yeah.
Yep.
Patience is key.
Nope. I wanted it now, baby.
He's not going to wait 30 days.
30 days for probably like 10 times the cash.
Yeah, right?
Well, the worst part is it's a transmog mount. So any remaining money's gone because I'm just going to use it on transmog.
I can't transmog. This is awesome. Let me just Oh. Wait, I have enough money to transform the world's smallest violin. Oh, jeez.
That's beautiful.
No, wait, that's a two-hander. I can't do that.
I can't do that.
Oh, no.
Can I at least afford one shoulder in 9.1?
So good. I got some work to do after this.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, Manny, where can we find you on the interwebs?
So, I am still doing For Azeroth. Unfortunately, Joss is no longer part of For Azeroth, but you can still find her on The Angry Chicken and her other shows. But I'm now joined with Jared RPG, and so that is over at Faz Podcast on Twitter. For me and everything I do, including the Rolling Restart, I am also a producer over at Warcraft Radio, and my Twitch. You can find me at True Villain Manny, true without the E.
Very nice. And good luck to Joss out there. I know that was sad news when I saw that. I was like, no. But I understand. Yeah. So, wish her nothing but the best. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully we don't get too much hate mail, but who knows?
This was a lot of fun. Bring on the hate mail. I'll give you your forwarding address.
ScrubsVsTheWorld@gmail.com. Thank you. And thanks for listening to the show, everyone. You can find us over on Twitter at ScrubsVerse. You can find my personal Twitter at Cyrub_KOC. You can find Projali's Twitter at TheProjali. You can also find us on the internet at www.scrubsversetheworld.com. If you have any thoughts and opinions about this episode and any of the previous ones, please feel free to go there and fill out the submission section in the middle of the page. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you could go to your favorite podcasting app and give us a review there, that would be awesome. That'll help the show out immensely. So whatever you're doing, we hope you're having a great day, staying safe, and as always, keep getting good.